Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight, returning after way too long, is Joe Illidge, one of my favorite editors, people, comics people, whatever, all around great people. Shows me to good shops in Brooklyn. Uh, and tonight, just because we're just going to jump into it. First, congratulations because you guys hit your funding goal earlier today.
Thank you so much.
Epiphany Engine, which I've been talking about briefly on the weekly podcast when I go through Kickstarters that people should go like back. Um, but I can only say, it's Joe Illidge and that makes it awesome. And rattle off a handful of names. You actually like know this stuff backwards and forwards. So like talk Epiphany Engine with us.
All right. Well, first off, thank you so much for your kindness, for having me on, and thank you for your support. You were probably the biggest reposter on Blue Sky about
Blue Sky's
Epiphany
the only place
Engine.
I go anymore.
Yeah. So we all really appreciate it.
You're
And
welcome.
it's really amazing all the allies that
I'm
came together and
yeah.
spread the word about this, such as yourself. So, I'll show love
I,
to them in a
I,
bit.
I, I'm glad that we managed to cross the line without me having to get into my math lessons. Every once in a while, when there's a
Wow.
Kickstarter that I love that hasn't gotten across the line, I start doing daily math lessons.
Oh wow.
Stuff,
So
stuff,
basic so
stuff
basically
like stuff
you're like
like
Scotty on the Enterprise is what you're
right.
telling me.
It's like we need $6,000, $40 a piece, three
Wow. It is interesting how big intimidating numbers aren't so intimidating
when you break
when
them down.
you break them down into fragments and when you amortize them like
Well,
that. That was something that we were doing as well. And I
yeah.
imagine a lot of people who run Kickstarter campaigns, I imagine they look at things quite frankly, vertically and
Right.
horizontally, right?
I think
So,
more of them should, I have noticed that my math posts actually get traction and seem to actually drive a little bit. So I'm sometimes, and I say this to politician type people too, never be afraid to teach. You're not telling people they're stupid.
well,
You're not telling
well,
people they're stupid. You're showing, hey, this is how it works.
what's interesting about teaching? Teaching is like writing. Everyone thinks they can write, and
That's
writing is
fair.
really a
No,
practice.
no,
Like writing,
and that's
writing is a skill. You have to learn the rules of writing. Teaching is the same way. Like
I,
it's not
I
only the
I'm a
ability to
teacher, so I
teach, but
agree
it's the
with you.
heart. You have to
Right.
have the heart to be a
Yeah.
teacher
Yeah.
because in America, I think it
Yeah.
would be fair to say that teachers don't get treated the way they deserve. Teachers are,
I,
one of the
I
one
second,
of the
third, and fourth
true
that emotion.
godsends of our society, right? But
Yeah.
that's a podcast for another day when we want
We've
to
done
talk
it a few
about
times.
civics and education. Well, we can catch up for
You can
that.
come back and
That's
do it again.
all right, but that's not what people are here for me for
No, we're here for
now.
Epiphany Engine. Sorry. You
But
know me. I can go all over the place.
all love
I'm
to
gonna zip my
teachers.
lips.
So again, thank you so much. We hit the funding goal today, and the campaign is going to keep going. And for the people who are new to the project, Epiphany Engine is a 192-page graphic novel, which is in the vein of Crisis on Infinite Earths and Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. It is a combined effort of 45 independent Black publishers. It has over 85 comic book creators and over 50 characters. And it's basically a story about a family of super scientists called the McCallie family, father, mother, two sons, and a daughter, and how they are basically the protectors of Earth. And a mysterious enemy comes and defeats them. And this is the undefeatable team. And this enemy defeats them and scatters them throughout the multiverse. So each family member ends up in a separate parallel universe, and the son is left alone. And what happens is it basically takes the multiverse of Black superheroes from the last 30 years of publishing to bring the family back together so they can learn the truth about this mysterious enemy for a final showdown. And, we really wanted to make a graphic novel, a really big experience in one book that you could read it and put it on your bookshelf, as opposed to breaking this up into 6 issues or 12 issues, the way that's traditionally done by large corporate owned publishers. And so the way this story is structured is there's a main chapter. Then when the family members are scattered, they're all splintered into their separate chapters. And when they're brought back together, there's an end chapter. And there are some horizontal interludes in between, but you have a really tight structure. And so this is one of the reasons that we have so many characters and so many creators, because you really need a village of creators to tell a story as cosmic and as grand and as human as this about a family, the same way that you need a village in your community to address one big situation, right? And so our lead writer is Brandon Thomas. Brandon Thomas has written for all the majors: Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics. He's most known for his series Excellence at Image Comics through Robert Kirkman's Skybound imprint, and Hardware Season 1 at Milestone, Batman Black and White, and Aquaman. And
Hardware
so
Season 1 we discussed on our Milestone Book Club. We took
absolutely incredible
hiatus between the two compendiums to go over the first season of the new Milestone, and very much enjoyed that.
Yep. So Brandon is our head writer. Our head artist is Sean Damian Hill. Sean Damian Hill, you've seen his artwork in Marvel Voices. And now he is the artist of a new series spinning out of Marvel's Blood Hunt summer event. He's also done work for Milestone on Blood Syndicate Season 1. Truly talented. And he also, I believe, did work for Marvel on Moon Knight. So truly talented guy. Like, if he's not a superstar already, he will be within the next 4 to 5 years. That's just guaranteed. And so those two kick off chapter
Predator
1
versus Black Panther.
Oh, he's working on that as well?
Yeah.
Got you. I knew about the Ken Lashley covers, and I knew about an artist, I think, whose name is Chris Allen, who worked on...
Okay. He's listed as having a credit on it, so he must have an area.
Yeah. So he's one of the various artists.
Yeah.
But this is a kind of talent that we're bringing to Epiphany Engine. And one of the things that we did with the book is we really acknowledge the collector's market. So we have variant covers, a lot of variant covers. We have variant covers from artists across comics, ranging from Jamal Igle to Kieron Grant to Aletha Martinez, Eric Battle, Chris Cross. Chris Cross did the main cover. Che Anderson's was just revealed
today, and now I'm having debate because I paid for the Chris Cross. I don't think you're going to talk me into buying 2 graphic novels.
Well, the Chris Cross cover is a love letter to George Perez.
It is.
And really the iconic image that represents the vast nature that is Epiphany Engine. If there's one image that can tell the story, that does it. What the variant covers do, they're a bit more thematically focused, and they focus on the family that's at the center of this story. And so it was fun to give the family members some profile in different contexts, have different artists explore that, and really the best artists in comics. And so this is really a big story. And the same way that Crisis on Infinite Earths is really a story about the golden and silver ages of DC publishing, and a love letter to those as the torch was passed into the new era of DC Comics in 1986. Epiphany Engine is very much a testament to the 30 years of Black independent publishers who have really been holding it down and creating their own section in the comic book industry, and now are being distributed through Diamond. But before, these publishers were indie publishers who were going convention to convention, selling their books, selling directly to their buyers through mail order, and also flourishing through Kickstarter. So one of the hopes that we have for this book is that everyone who backs this book and gets the book, this book will be a gateway for you to discover all these publishers and these amazing characters. And that's one of the things that all big events should do, right? They
Absolutely.
should close a door on a story, but open new doors of discovery. And so we're very excited. We're very grateful to everyone who has backed this book so far. You know, it's interesting because there's two things. Number one, this started with the Black comics community because it's a large Black centric entrepreneurial project. But the larger comic book community came together and showed support for this. The podcasters, such as yourself, various people who are highly successful with Kickstarters, whether it's Charlie Stickney of White Ash, whether it's Charlie McElvey, there's I'm trying to remember her last name, but Kat, that everyone knows, that she's like a Kickstarter queen. And
Think I know who you're talking about, but
yeah,
I'm drawing
and
a
I'm
blank.
blanking on her last name, which means I need some dinner after this interview. Pat, if you're watching this, my apologies. And but also,
Wait a minute, did
creators
you say
like
Pat or Cat?
Kat, Kat, right?
K-A-T.
And but creators ranging from Greg Rucka to Kieran Gillen to Gail Simone, like so many people came together and supported this project. And I think part of the reason is because they see this sincere desire to create something amazing. While this is something that is inspired by great sagas in superhero fiction, it is original. It is structurally original, and in terms of its scope, it is unprecedented in its scale in terms of the number of publisher participants, creator participants, character participants. So this is really a history-making book, and what's going to happen is we've already started working on the book. We've been working on the book since October, and that is because, in part, Kat Kalamia, yes, definitely one of the superheroes of crowdfunded comics. And I had the pleasure of sitting alongside her on a panel at San Diego Comic-Con in 2022 that Oriana Leckert, who is one of the comics publishing bigwigs at Kickstarter, moderated. So it was Kat and myself, Jimmy Palmiotti, who's the mayor of comics as far as I'm concerned, and a few other people. And so, again, this is really something of unprecedented scale. And we feel like everyone is responding to how this reflects a genuine love of comics. And it's a genuine love letter to the types of grand stories that have become these indelible fixtures in North American superhero fiction. When you're talking Crisis on Infinite Earths, you're literally talking the white whale of a corporation.
So, I mean, that's one of the things I wanted to ask about, because, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's historic. I mean, even getting 5 people together in a room to agree on doing something is hard. And you've got like 90 people together in a room. Talk to me about how it came together, what the genesis of the idea was, and then how it went from there, reaching out to people, figuring out who was going to do what. I mean, it just seems like such a huge project. I wanted to get something out before your Kickstarter was over, but I would still love to be able to talk to a handful of the players together about how something this big actually manages to come together.
Well, number one, listen, the party has only begun. Like,
right.
The Epiphany engine train isn't stopping.
I like to
for
hear
a
that.
long time,
I like to
because
hear that.
backers and retailers will receive their copies January 2025, which means next year you're going to see creators with the books at their tables at conventions. You're
Right.
going to see it in comic book shops. You're going to see people who read about it post about it. So believe me, the party's going on for a while. We have enough cake. We have enough candles. So you will be able to talk to a number of creators about the synthesis and working together and the collaboration of this. But just to give you the origin of it, Tony Cottrell, who is the owner and publisher Advent Comics is celebrating their 15th anniversary this year. So Tony put a call to action out on Facebook last August, wondering which Black comic book creators and publishers would love to come together and do a massive project that represents the collaborative capabilities of the community. And basically, everyone who responded to that call of action became part of the project. And, for a number of the publishers, because there are 45 publishers involved, it's basically contributing their character and saying, you have the authority to use my character in this multiversal story. Here's the visual guide for the character. Here's the character's personality. Just please represent the character well, right? So that's part of it. It's not everyone writing or drawing or inking or coloring or lettering. For a number of the players, it's, hey, we're letting you use our character for this big event. And part of the beauty of this book is when it's done, those independent publishers can continue their stories and their characters can be affected by Epiphany Engine.
Right.
Epiphany Engine is not an imaginary story that is going to get wiped out of the timeline. It will have happened for everyone. And so the ripple effects can continue out into all these various fictional universes of Black independent publishers. And that's part of the fun too, right? That, again, it's not the closing of a door, it's the opening of gateways.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Advent Comics, so I'm now flipping through their website and going, okay, these
Yeah,
are cool.
they've been around for a long
15
time.
years.
15 years. In the last 15 years of direct market comics and crowdfunding comics and independent comics, you could write several books on it. So to be in business continually for 15
to
years,
keep up with everything.
It really is. And so what happened was, once things started rolling, Tony reached out to me and asked me if I would come on board to be the main editor of this. And I really looked at it as a continuation of the mission that started with me at Milestone Comics in 1993. And I really see this as an extension of the Milestone dream. The next phase. What is the next phase of the model that was Milestone Comics looked like? And to me, Epiphany Engine is that. And so it was a situation where I'm always working, but there are some things that you do have to carve out time for. And I knew it was important for me to carve out time for this because of its place in the history of comics and because it uplifts so many publishers and their characters. And that's part of the Milestone mission, is the elevation of voices in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, through character representation. That's part of the continuing mission. And so Epiphany Engine reflects that.
I'm not going to put you so on the spot that I'm going to expect you to rattle off everything about all of the characters because, we've only got like 10 or 15 more minutes, and B, there's a lot of characters. But for listeners and sadly even myself, who don't know half of these publishers, much less half of the characters, tease us some. Tell us about a handful of characters that you love and what's great about them.
Well, I will tell you about the core characters, and then I'll name some of the over 50 characters.
Right.
But the point is that this is a book of discovery.
Right.
Because if you've read over your entire life 567 Superman comic books, don't you want something new?
Yes.
Don't you need something new? So part of the fun of the book is your discovery as a backer. But core characters are the McCallie family. The McCallie family were named after famous real life or fictional people. Dwayne McCallie, the father, named after Dwayne McDuffie, co-founder, editor-in-chief of Milestone Comics, one of the best editors ever in comics, in North American comics, went on to become an animation legend with Static Shock, Ben 10, and Justice League Unlimited. The mother is named Jackie McCallie. Jackie McCallie is named after Jackie Orms,
Nice.
first Black woman cartoonist in American comics. The youngest son is Todd. Todd is named after Tony Todd, the well-known actor from the Candyman film. The sister, eldest sibling, her name is Octavia McCallie, named after Octavia Butler, legendary science fiction author of many books, including Kindred and Parable of the Sower. Finally,
adapted to fantastic graphic novels
by John Jennings and Damian Duffy. Finally, the youngest son, no, the eldest son, middle sibling, Jet McCallie, is named after a character from an old Disney show called The Famous Jet Jackson, right? So you have this family of 5 scientific explorers, and they're at the core of the story. Once you start getting into the multiversal village of Black characters over the last 30 years, you're talking about characters like Mega Woman from Godhood Comics and Tyler Forrest Martin. You're talking about Ace Blade from Danny Quick. You're talking about Acolyte from Lonzo Starr and Concrete Comics. You're talking about Titan, I think Mother of Monsters from Colleen Douglas. You're talking about Titan the Ultraman from Advent Comics. And that's just a handful, right? There are so many quirky characters from so many different genres. It's really amazing. We have a PDF of all the characters, and one of the requests is, will we do an official handbook of the Epiphany Engine multiverse? And
Please.
So I think it's something worth considering, you know. But my goodness, there are so many characters. If you look at the crisscross cover, I think there are 42 characters on that. And then we revealed a 4-part cover by Chuck Patton. Chuck Patton is known in comic book circles for being the artist that basically helped introduce Justice League Detroit back in, I think, the 80s, when Justice League became a more multicultural team with Vibe and Vixen and Commander Steel. And he's done a lot of work in animation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and various properties. So he did a 4-part cover, which has a lot of characters too. Absolutely stunning. And so that's the thing. This is an entryway of discovery. This is not the place where you're supposed to recognize everybody. Right. Because it gets really hard to sustain that. It gets really hard to sustain interest in characters that you have known all your life.
Yeah.
Right? So the discovery
except
point,
Daredevil.
Well, listen. And even Matthew, I would want to have a one-on-one talk with him about relationships.
Well, yeah,
he's got a big problem with relationships. He's got his Catholic guilt down. He's got his martial arts and his boxing down, but his relationships with women are a bit problematic. Well, and so I would have to have a talk with him, but I don't have a problem with Daredevil. But I don't have a problem with Daredevil. But that's for a Daredevil podcast. And so that's the thing. As hard as it is to maintain interest in Daredevil since Daredevil 1, which I think came out in 1963 by Stan Lee
I would
and
argue
Bill
that interest
Everett.
In Daredevil starts way after number 1.
Well, that's a Daredevil podcast because you're basically talking about Frank Miller, right? So
maybe a little bit earlier than that. But yeah.
Not so sure. Not so sure. But
Jim
again,
Colin did some.
it's another conversation.
Yeah.
That's another conversation. Because if an amazing artist does a character, but the writing isn't compelling,
That's true.
then it's a good looking comic book.
That's
But
true.
is it a good comic book?
That's true.
Right?
Though I'm
So,
gonna toss out my unpopular Daredevil opinion because I think you might be one of the few people that agree with it.
all right, so
Which,
let's go with that. And then we
which
got to
is
wrap it up.
well, I know,
But
but
let's go with unpopular Daredevil opinion.
my favorite Daredevil round or my Daredevil team is actually Denny O'Neil and David Mazzucchelli.
Okay, listen, I respect your opinion. I'm glad that it gives you comfort. But we all know the best Daredevil arc is Born Again by Frank Miller, David Mazzucchelli, and Christy Shield and Joe Rosen. And this is not in debate, but everyone is entitled to their opinion.
I thought Denny gave David more room to play.
But in which
They did mostly one
series,
shots.
but in which storyline did Mazzucchelli peak? I want you to think about this. Mazzucchelli does Daredevil Born Again. Then Batman Year One.
Yeah.
Then this one issue of Marvel fanfare with Angel that actually looks like wood etchings.
Right.
And then he basically leaves superhero comics altogether. And then it's Rubber Blankets. It's City of Glass, right? And then he'll disappear and teach. And then he'll come back and drop the mic with the Asterios Polyp. And then he'll disappear again. And maybe like some mythical being, he will drop another graphic novel in 5 years that will totally change comics again. But when you look at his body of work in superhero comics, even Batman Year One, which is brilliant, there's a dynamism in Daredevil Born Again. There is a visceral nature to it that was gone by Batman Year One, and I imagine by design because he's a genius. But there is a scratchiness, there's a harshness to Daredevil Born Again. So I'm gonna, die on the hill that that's the best storyline, and
I think I'll give it the best storyline. Again, I make a weird distinction between best storyline and best creative team, if that makes sense.
Well, the thing is, a story is a synthesis of all of the talents.
I didn't say it made sense, Joe.
That's okay. That's okay. Like I said, I want you to feel comfortable about your feelings. That's it.
And here I was hoping because it was Mazzucchelli that, you'd be the one person in the world who'd back me up.
Well, see, the problem is that I have multiple versions of Born Again on my bookshelf.
I do too.
So I'm pretty biased.
Because they haven't reprinted enough of the O'Neil Mazzucchelli in between because it
that's
was all
true. But this stuff. One, the one that Marvel recently did, actually has one or two Mazzucchelli stories in it.
Yeah. So since you're running out of time, give me something you're reading lately that you love and everybody should be reading with you.
Oh my God. That is a tough one. Well, one of the things that's happening is I've actually developed this new hobby of going to comic book stores and buying complete runs of miniseries of all issues, like in a bag.
Right.
So I reconnected.
If you're ever in Sioux Falls, Rainbow has a massive number of collected complete runs of miniseries and whatnot.
Yeah. So I've been reconnecting that way. I found Blood by J.M. DeMatteis and Kent Williams from the Epic line, which is just exquisite.
Yeah.
I found the Vertigo miniseries Unknown Soldier by Garth Ennis and Killian Plunkett. I found the Ho Che Anderson King miniseries. I found 2 out of the 3 issues. Not easy. Dude, it's hard to find those. The one in your left hand is the one I got. It's hard to find them. Yeah.
I don't have 3. I've got 1 and 2.
It's very difficult.
I understand.
But if you're talking about right now, I'm a big fan of the Wonder Woman series by Tom King, Daniel Samperi, I think Clayton Coles and Tomu Mori. I love
Right.
that book.
Well, and the
Um,
backup stories from Belen Ortega
yep, I love that. I love that book.
and
I
Tamara
was a
Bonventure doing the
in terms of energy,
Today's was
right? And
amazing. It
Tamara
totally
Bonvillain,
picked me up.
yeah, Energon Universe, Duke
Okay.
rules. I like the way Scarlet is starting off so
Yeah,
far
I
by
love the
Kelly
first issue of
Thompson,
Scarlet.
but Duke just rocked from
That's the one
issue
Kelly
one
told me to
to
read too.
issue five. And the thing is, it's like, and this is something that I talk about on the socials a bit, but doing an excellent issue one these days is difficult. It's difficult as hell, but Duke number one pulled it off. The same way that there's a Christopher Cantwell miniseries at Boom called Briar.
I
Briar
adore
number
Briar and
one
was very
is
sad to
so
hear that it's
good.
ending at 8.
Yeah, Briar number one is so good. Yeah. So, and as you can see on my bookshelf, I am really digging into Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook's Catwoman.
So good.
Um, so there's a lot of different things I'm reading, but basically just stuff that's really challenging
Yeah.
and really provides character journeys. I'm a big fan of character journeys.
You and me both.
So that's it.
You and me both. If only you didn't work so much, we'd get you sucked into one of the book clubs and we'd talk about character journeys all the time,
I
man.
know, I know. Well, maybe if you give me enough advance notice, we'll figure out an episode where I can come in and we'll wax philosophical. But
We'll
yeah,
figure
one
it
of the
out.
things I'm busy doing is writing. And so
And that's
San
good.
Diego
You're
Comic
even
Con is
you're
coming. There's going to be a number
writing
of
for my friend
announcements.
Marcus, so I can't argue with that.
That's true. Marcus is going to be the artist on the Harriet Tubman graphic novel.
That's
I
right.
am thrilled to bits about that.
Did you
And
get to
that is
read
coming along nicely.
did you get to read Big Jim and the White Boy yet?
I did not get to read that yet. I'm too busy writing. I'm too
So
busy
good.
writing,
It's
editing
not out.
Epiphany
I was just
Engine,
assuming somebody would have
editing
slipped
other
you
things.
a
No,
preview.
no, if
Yeah.
only. What I
Yeah.
did get to read was issue one of The Power Fantasy by Kieron Gillen and
Ooh,
Caspar Wingard
looking
and
forward to
Ryan
that.
Hughes and Clayton Coles.
Very nice. Yeah, we just
Oh,
actually played a game
yeah.
of die
Oh,
on the
wow.
podcast.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's it. So the things that I read influence the things that I edit in
Right.
terms of the standards that I believe in.
Good.
So hopefully Epiphany Engine sucks some of the wonderful energy from all these amazing
I'm gonna
comics from
give you
Born Again to
I'm gonna give you
freaking King.
I'm gonna give you the compliment that I gave you at I gave to you to others at my comic shop today while I was picking stuff up, and I said I was talking to you tonight, and I plugged Epiphany Engine to the people at the comic shop, and what I said was, yeah, it's this big crossover event, and we all know how those can be hard to do and whatnot, but it's Joe Illidge editing, and that's like, and it's a music savvy comic shop, and I said if you listen to Concert for George is like amazing. Most of the time when you've got those tribute concerts, some hit or
Yeah,
miss.
yeah.
Concert for George is amazing, and the reason it's amazing is Eric Clapton was the music director, and well, Eric Clapton is problematic in all sorts of other ways. Music is his
But
thing,
in
and
music,
and he's like, you want to play, you're showing up 3 days early to rehearse because we're doing this shit.
that's
And
right.
that's what I said. Yeah, these things are hard to do, but Joe Illidge is the Eric Clapton of editors.
Well, oh
He's
my
not going to
God.
do it. He's not going to do it unless he's going to do it
Oof.
right.
Well, thank you
Um,
so much. And,
so I have the
I have over these 31 years, I have had a bit of practice,
yeah,
launching the Catalyst Prime universe at Lion Forge, basically reinvigorating Tarna for heavy metal, which was a
right,
genuine pleasure of mine,
yeah,
to work on Tarna with people ranging from Stephanie Phillips to Christian Ward, Al Barrio Nuevo, Patrick Zerker, Christian Rosado. Oh my God. Jessica Colleen, so many great talents. Brian Valenza, Marshall Dillon, so many amazing talents. And so, yeah, I've had some experience with the big stories.
yeah,
Batman No Man's Land, that little
yeah.
1 year storyline that gave us
That I
Cassandra
mean,
Cain.
as 1 year storylines go, No Man's Land and the first Civil War are the only two massive crossovers that you can read every issue involved in it and have like 90% of them be, yeah, I don't feel like I wasted my time. Yes,
Thank you
this
so
mattered.
much.
Yes, this was
Thank
good.
exactly, exactly. And
Whereas, and that's not even really a bash, because when you're talking that big and that many people,
yeah, it's difficult. I mean, listen,
right,
I am purchasing Absolute Power and Blood Hunt. How many spin-offs I'm purchasing, it depends on my personal taste. Right. So
right,
that's another thing. Taste is so individual in
yeah,
terms of what you gravitate towards. But yeah, ultimately it's about story, theme, character. If you've got those three down, let's go. So
well,
that's what I'm
that
hoping this
that
is
is
for
a
so many
great
people.
place to cut off recording so I can
All
talk to you
right.
for a minute or two before you run and eat. So for Joe Illidge, this has been 22 panels. We will see you after the next page.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.